Alright guys and girls, I made another patch template, and this is for a quarter or for a rocker panel. It's going to fit right here, and I made that the same way I did the quarter panel template with the overhead projector, so I'll throw a link in the video there somewhere around here, and you can check that out if you haven't seen that yet on how to build these with overhead projector if you don't have one to start with, which I didn't. Mine was all manufactured in a barn probably. So I'll show you the steel I got for this. So here is the steel I have, and I've got a little bit extra on each end for a flange, and there is one already, but I have to bend the two side ones on as well and then cut this shape out of there. So now that I know this paper template fits, I can transfer it to the steel, and we're good. And there we have it, rocker panels traced into the steel, 16 gauge. I labeled back and front. All right, I've got the rocker panel in my jig here to do flanges. So I'm gonna be hammering this up here. All right, you can see it there. That's how we put a 90 in my shop. We gotta do this side here. Here is the rocker panel for the passenger side. I'm gonna be welding that one in right away, and we'll carry it over to the truck. So I think you call it a truck. It's got truck parts on it. This is gonna fit in here like this. So once this is in, I'm going to be using this quarter panel to keep it flush and straight. And then this will get welded along here. I'm going to have to put a little filler piece here. I mismeasured a little bit, or it was most likely the rust one a little higher than I thought. And once this is welded in, I'll have to repair this, and I'll build this from scratch here. It's pretty bad. So it's kind of heat warped from torch welding, like you can see the brazing in here, and they've warped it up to about here at least, so we'll probably build that from scratch, same material as that. I just finished welding the top along the rocker here. That's done. I gotta grind it yet, and there was major torch welding damage like I talked about from the brazing, so I've hammered and dollied this around here. I couldn't get all of it because some of the floor, I think the floor kind of runs here and then here, so I got it well enough that I'll be able to skim it with body filler. The other thing I'm going to do now is I'll make a patch. It'll probably go from here down to here, and that'll take care of this corner, and then we also have to do one here. So let's take care of this now. I've got this template here that I can use, but I'm thinking we won't really need it. I mean, we'll trim it up and whatnot, but not like we actually needed it now that we have something to pattern off of. Plus we have our hole size here that we're gonna need. So I've got a piece here. Actually, it's worked out really well. This arch in here had to be cut out of the same sheet, so I've got extra to work with. It's going to be bent up, but this one's going to go in here. And you can see what I'm replacing. It's warped real bad in here. Like I talked about earlier, we got this out. So I'm going to bend this into shape the same way we've done everything else on my homemade flanger. 90-degree flanger, I guess. I'll show you when that's done. So, there it is formed. You saw the time lapse. I'm gonna have to trim this up with the angle grinder and then we'll weld into it. Pretty good. That'll go right there. Something else I'm really happy with is the fit on this. There was actually, if you look on this side here, right there, there was a little shim put in. I've now cut it off because since the body's square, this is holding properly. We got our gaps really nice. The bottom needs to be ground down yet. Got the door on here now just so I can get this corner fit up properly. Make sure everything's where it needs to be. All right, there is the patch. Let's see if we can get it out of here. Tight fit. There's some weld through coating on there, but you can see I've got the holes here that'll allow me to weld to this and the floorboard. And I've got some in here that'll allow me to weld to that edge. So that should keep it nice and secure in there. So let's go. This patch is welded in, ready to be ground down. I've added the hole that I had as reference from the last one to mount the running boards. So now I have a starting point. I can get the rest of them in there. There's supposed to be like 4 or 5 in there. I have to double check off of some photos. So this will need a little tweak in here yet. We have a rust repair to do. So whoever did this farm bush truck type fix basically booger welded it full until the rust hole was gone. So I'm going to build a new piece that'll come up in here and come through here. So that will fix whatever's here. But I've got these two inside here. I don't know if we'll see it, but they're plug welded. Now you can see it. I've plug welded them together. So we got all our strength here now. It's good. Like if I pull on it, it'll want to shake the whole truck. And that'll be our next thing to tackle there. And the gaps are really good. Door is hanging a little bit because of bad bushing, but if we pull it up to level, all our gaps level right out. So one little guy there. We'll do all the grinding once this whole side is welded on. Do it in one shot, get it done. And once we get that done, we'll move on to that little guy, and then I can weld this quarter panel on, and then the gas filler. All right, this corner here, just to give you proximity, here's a dashboard, is rusted out. So here's the patch I'm making for this spot. And we're gonna add a sliver here. This will just come down a little bit. This is like booger welded, as they'd say, all full here. And that's how they fix that initially. We're gonna properly fix it now. So I've transferred that piece to the steel here. This line is gonna be the little bit of a fold. A bit of a fold in there. That should be easy enough to do with my equipment. So I'm gonna make that and I'm gonna layer in place. Here is the corner patch. I've got it made and ready to weld in. The old one spot is cut out. So we'll set this in here. It's kind of a balancing act. Just to have it sit here. Roughly there. There we go. So I am done completely welding all the rocker and cowl patch. I've got the extension I had to add here because there's rusty higher up than I expected. I also want to show you guys the fitment on this door. You'll see there's a bit of body work that'll be needed there, but look at that fitment, guys, and look at the gap. It's perfection. And here. So the next thing I gotta show you, I've done the weld along here, and I fixed this hole right here. It's done. I believe the factory welds down into here, and they kind of were booger welded. So that's probably what I will leave right here. Then I'll run seam sealer down here when the product is done. Yeah, and we gotta drill the holes here at some point for these running boards. But I can't do that till I know where the body is gonna sit with all new body mounts to the floor. So that'll be like the last thing that I do. But I just wanted to show you guys progress on this. Grinding will happen. Probably gonna just grind a little bit of welding in there. And we'll put a weld through coating on both sides of the panel. I also have to drill plug weld holes in that panel that will allow me to plug weld along here, and then I'm going to solid weld the top, so it should be nice and strong. And I'll have a handful of plug welds down there along with the weld through coating. So I've also marked tie down holes so that I don't drill in the wrong spots. I'm going to have to mark the corresponding ones on the quarter. If I remember to do that so that I know where to drill it. Alright guys and girls, I've got a new tool here. Put a little air tool on before I started, and a filter to protect this thing. It's an Ingersoll Rand 90-degree angled die grinder, I guess you'd call it. It'll hit 21,000 RPM, and it's a 301B. Yeah, 301B model. I think this will work better than, like, to grind these welds down. This will work well. 80 grit disc on there. I bought the backing for that. But I think that'll work well to take these down without taking too much metal down around beside it. I want to keep this flush and make body working easier. So let's give this a try. I feel like I'm gonna have to regulate the speed on this guy a little bit. It was like 120 Canadian bucks plus a backing pad. So I'm 150 in, plus all these pads are pretty much free at the silent auction at work. So I'll get set up here. I've been using face mask. I want to keep my health longer, do more projects down the road. Normally I'm wearing a sweater, but I think we'll be okay for this. We'll give it a try. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. That does a lot better than trying to use an angle grinder. It's like nice and flush here. So we'll go and do the rest of the sheet metal here, and then we'll check it out. See how it comes along. Well, this tool is my new current favorite tool for this work. Look how clean that makes it, guys. My door jamb just needs minimal body work is what I'm thinking at this point. Gotta grind this up yet. Man, it works so good. That is a win. Get yourself one. Put this ground down as much as necessary. A couple low spots here that I couldn't get out because of where the floor was, and kind of in these structural areas, so we'll need a little bit of body filler work, but very minimal there. Well guys, also check this out. I gotta raise the door up yet, as I've mentioned before. I need new bushings in there. But look at the gap consistently along to the door. Yeah, cleaned up fast, cleaned up nice. I left some of the welds in here. Just kind of smoothed them over a bit.